Yeah, so what we're going to be doing here today is we're doing a Last of Us 2 review. Just a warning, there will be some spoilers later on in the video.
Lots of spoilers.
I'll have there's going to be some lettering in the front warning you as well, but just in case you're illiterate or something, we're just going to tell you there will be some spoilers. Um, but yeah, man, so let's just jump right into it, man. What was your first impressions of the game?
So I did write notes uh, to make sure I don't say so much. I think the game did a fantastic job in what it was trying to do, in telling its story. Honestly, it's well written, it's well paced, and it's very well structured, in my opinion. the The gameplay was well defined. The graphics were breathtaking. It had a story to tell, and that's the journey it took us on. You know, at first I did think that the game had a lot of bulk, a lot of unnecessary things, but kind of like reflecting on it, everything kind of connected, and it was all needed, honestly, and it all served to have you learn more and sympathize with the characters that were kind of being fleshed out in this story. So, let's see. Yeah, the structure of the game I thought was really well done. I didn't honestly think I'd like the second half of the game, being that it had to do with just other things. But I did end up enjoying that part of the game. I actually have conflicting thoughts on whether or not I enjoyed it more than the first half of the game. But Naughty Dog did what I thought was impossible in making me almost sympathize with, they made it a point when they were making this game, and they were kind of promoting it in saying that you will have kind of you will feel the deaths of characters, of people you kill in this game, and that it'll make you feel like, no, like I didn't want to have to kill that person. And it did a fantastic job in doing that. It's one thing to say you're gonna do that, it's another thing to actually be able to pull that off, and I think Naughty Dog did exactly what they set out to do. If I were to say whether or not the game is a masterpiece, I think it is, but not just in video games. I think in just media in general, because of how it plays with it kind of the way it mixes the gameplay, the story, just the graphics of it all. I think it did a fantastic job. If I believe this game deserves all the hype and all the love that it's getting from the critics. I do have, choice words for people who are reviewing the game without fully playing the game, or watching somebody else play the game. There were reviews that came out, within 5-6 hours of the game being released, and it's impossible to beat this game within that time frame. So I think people kind of saw what happens in the beginning and just immediately turned off to the game, and was
Yeah.
just like, no matter what happens, I don't like this game, which I think is very unfair,
Mm.
because where the game shines is later on. I mean, I think the game shines overall, but yeah, it deserves the hype and love it gets from the critics. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it a solid 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, I was gonna throw we would do the ratings at the end, but
All right, just cut this part out then.
uh,
I'll give my reasoning for why a
gotcha.
9.5 later on
uh,
then.
my first impressions of the game were just obviously it was beautiful, the graphics breathtaking. That sunset at the end of the game, well, close to the
Hmm.
end of the game, is just perfect. When you're sitting in the tractor, I was like, wow, that's beautiful. Um, as far as well, we'll get into that. That's the next topic. But just like I said, it was, to me, honestly, just me speaking, it wasn't the most fun experience playing the game. Um,
Oh, definitely not.
there were times I just wanted to get it over with. Um, Now I got your syndrome. Uh, I'm also very tired. but uh, but
I
yeah,
think I limited my ums to like
yeah, you
five
did really
this
good.
time.
I'm over here umming it up. But But yeah, man, it was a Naughty Dog did a great job with just telling their story, and tiptoeing around certain tropes when it comes to like revenge storytelling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh, they kind of just kind of played with the emotions that go behind wanting revenge, wanting to hurt someone, wanting to essentially end somebody's life, but just they made you feel things that you wouldn't necessarily feel for. Like you said, they made you sympathetic towards the quote unquote antagonist of the game, and it was really interesting to kind of get like both sides of the story and all that. Um, but yeah, that's really how I felt about it. It was like I said, it can drag in some points that you just like, come on, can we just get somewhere, please? Get me to the next set piece, please. But other than that, it was a solid game. Um, Moving on to like the
What
gameplay. What?
what I will just piggyback off of one thing that you said. It definitely does. It's not a very fun experience.
It's not. No.
It's not. Um, but
Whereas
that
the
is
first one
something
had a
that
lot of
not.
heart and stuff like that, this one is kind of absent of that at times.
But yeah, we'll go into the gameplay. Kind of like talk about the gameplay, some new features, some of the mechanics in the game. I thought the gameplay was so well refined. I had just finished playing the first game for the millionth time, and going from that, literally less than an hour later, going into The Last of Us Part 2, that gameplay is super smooth, super refined. I enjoyed it a lot. Like, as much as I didn't have fun playing the game, I had fun with the gameplay. I had fun, like, playing the game. It doesn't make sense. The story wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Having to go through all of that was pretty taxing. But the gameplay made the game enjoyable to a certain extent. There were times that I was just like, okay, let's move it along.
Yeah.
In terms of new features, I always think about the the memes. I've seen so many memes about this game, just for different parts of the game. But the fact that you can jump and go prone in this game is it's life changing, honestly.
The ability to jump changes the game.
It changes the structures of video games for the rest of our lives, honestly. If Naughty Dog didn't come up with this idea to be able to jump and go prone in video games, we'd still be
Yeah.
in the Stone Age of
That's what
video
I'm saying.
games.
I don't know. Thank God they came up with this.
No, it was fantastic.
Otherwise, you'd have to like crawl around in Mario. That wouldn't be fun. They wouldn't have did that.
No, they wouldn't have done that. But all jokes aside, that makes it so much more immersive in terms of combat, in terms of stealth in the game. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I had to fight people, for sure, I was prone. 100% prone. Whichever gun I was using, more than likely was a silenced weapon, and I was just taking people out with headshots and just watching it go from there. There were times where I was like, okay, let's get this over with, but yeah, gameplay, fantastic.
The gameplay is very similar to Phantom Pain in a lot of ways. The way you can get in and out of combat, go in and out of stealth, and all that, very similar to
Yeah.
Phantom Pain. So I love that. The only issue I had with Naughty Dog was choosing what you can climb on and what you can't. There'd be things that are perfectly like right waist high, you can easily jump on. It's like, nah, you can't jump on this, but other things you could. That
I
kind of
think
drove me
you're
crazy.
the only one that has that pet peeve.
It's just like, why are you there if I can't jump on you? Like, that's ridiculous. um, but yeah, going prone makes the stuff a lot more fun, a lot easier. Being able to like crawl under cars and stuff to set like traps and stuff like that for your enemies. The AIs are a lot smarter in this game too, so
Super smart.
they're not
Yeah.
stupid. If you throw a glass bottle, it's not going to work all the time. Even though
It's
it
not.
is the most lethal weapon in the game, this glass bottle. Just in case you didn't know.
When I started the game, I did that. When you first encounter like dogs, I was just like, oh no, I'm gonna just keep throwing bottles distracted. After a while, they were like, okay, I think the third bottle slash brick that I threw. They were
Oh,
like, okay,
like
somebody's doing this. Let's look around. And I was just like, what? No, you're not supposed to do that. You are supposed to be dumb.
I keep looking at my bricks. What is wrong with you?
But yeah, no, it was. They did a fantastic job, and it was super well refined.
Yeah. We kind of touched on graphics already. Obviously, beautiful, breathtaking, the whole nine.
So beautiful.
So let's get into.
When there are certain scenes that I just like. That I was just like, wow, especially, when the first Last of Us came out, that was breathtaking in terms of graphics. It was at the end of the PS3 lifespan, much like the Last of Us Part 2 is at the end of the PS4 lifespan. It was definitely the best graphics I've seen for their respective systems, in my opinion. There are a lot of games that are beautiful. This game kind of takes that to a whole nother level, but also it doesn't only just focus on the beauty, it focuses on realism. So like, when you kill someone, you see that, if you shoot their face, you see half of their face gone. And I just wanted to touch upon just the sound design just a little bit. Fucking fantastic in this game. You shoot somebody in the throat, you will hear them choking on their own blood.
It's the best shot in the game. It's a throw shot.
The throat shot.
Instant kill. It's the best.
It's an instant kill. Yeah, they did a fantastic job in just the graphics and the sound design and all of that. I thought it was definitely something. It shows the amount of man hours they put into this game.
Definitely. Even just like when you're choking a clicker out or something, you can see the expressions in her face. Same thing with Nora. If you kill somebody near Nora, who's another character in the game, you can see like her like cringing or like, ooh, like that was bloody.
Mm-hmm.
You just see there's emotion in everything you do in that game, and even to get that on NPCs, which is hard sometimes. Most games don't even care about that. They just focus on the main player.
The
that's
main
it.
protagonists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you see every detail in this game. Like they did an amazing job with that.
And when when you're choking someone out as Ellie, and she puts that knife in their throat, and she's like, shh, shh.
You see her face and everything.
You just see her just like pull that knife out, and you see it in the face. You see, you hear the person struggling, and you hear them just choking on their blood. You hear them just like it's, and also depending on characters and things like that, you're choking somebody out. You'll hear them break their necks, which is super strong. Okay. I think now we'll delve into a little more of the story.
So now it'll be a spoiler warning. So we will not be holding
big
back,
old spoiler warning on the video. If you have not played the game and you haven't had it ruined for you yet, I know a lot of people have gone into a lot of these videos thinking, I don't care if it gets spoiled for me. Don't. It's a fantastic game that you should.
I don't care about spoilers.
I know you don't care about spoilers, but it's a game that you should experience firsthand. Definitely.
So I just wanna.
I'll let you take this away.
Yeah. So obviously just gonna go to spoilers straight off the bat. The game pisses people off in the same way. Like I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. That's my series. I love everything about that game. It's very similar to Metal Gear Solid 2, in the sense where the player you played as the whole entire game in part 1, that you fell in love with, that you're like, oh my god, this guy's amazing, blah blah blah. They take him away from you really early in that game. MSG2, they take away Solid Snake within the first 30 minutes of that game, and you do not play with him again. As a kid, I was As a kid, I was irate. I'm like, I want to be Solid Snake. I don't want to be this bitch ass Raiden. I was pissed. But as I got older, I understood more with what the game was about, what Kojima was doing, and I grew to love the game. Like MSG2 is still one of my favorite games to this day. But just just that. So I understand why people hate this game. People are getting so mad at this game
Mm-hmm.
because, spoiler alert, they killed Joel relatively early in this game.
Like 3-4 hours into the
Yeah,
game.
like,
Yeah.
and it just makes you numb. Like, I was just telling Omar about this. Like, once you do that, it's like, what more can you do to me? Like, other than killing Ellie, like, what more can you do to me?
Yeah.
Like, you took away Joel. Like, that's why I played this game. Um, so I get the hate. I get why people are mad, and then on top of that, they make you play as, Joel's killer, which can be a little. I guess
Yeah.
people be like frustrating and make you wanna turn away. Like, damn, really, you got
Yeah.
it's like a slap in the face almost. Like,
Yeah. And we talked about this because we played the game almost kind of like at the same time.
yeah, side by
we
side
were
for the
getting
most part.
for the most part. And I remember after like the first 5-6 hours of playing the game, I called you, and I was just like, okay, where are you in the story? Good, you passed the that part. Okay, let's talk about it because after playing that and after seeing that, it wasn't just that they killed him; it was gruesome.
Yeah,
They
they didn't hold back.
they yeah. I needed a breather from the game, honestly, and I needed to vent. It was traumatizing in a sense of like this is a character that for me and for a lot of people, not for everyone, but for a lot of people, they have loved this character for 7 years. It's been 7 years since the original game came out. I got it day one. I played it. I loved it. I've played it so many different times. And this was a character that was almost immortal in my eyes. You know, he was such a badass in the first game, and you get that near death in the first game that kind of like puts into question, did he die, did he not die? You see he didn't, and he's a beast, and they kill him. I've had people kind of I've seen different reactions, and I've I've been on Twitter, I've been on the YouTubes, and a lot of people feel like the way he was killed was kind of like unfair to the character. And I kind of just wanted to ask you about this, whether or not you thought his death, uh, one, carried any meaning, two, did they do it in a way that kind of
Like, I
honors?
so obviously does not honor him at all. But the like like Omar was saying, this is a game you have to play through to the end. So if you just see that one part and you get turned away and you're like, fuck this game, I completely understand that, but at the same time, they don't really reveal a lot on that Joel side of things until the end. And at the
Yeah,
very end, and I was telling you even before this, I felt like it wasn't revenge just based on the fact, oh, you took my Joel away. It was guilt on behalf of Ellie.
it was
She
100% more about
she
guilt
felt, yes, she
than
felt
anything
like,
else.
and then obviously the reveal at the end, where it's just, she was about to rebuild that connection with Joel again, and then you
She
took him away the
literally,
next day, like that.
yeah. and I was thinking about that moment where it shows that she was trying to forgive him for what he did in the first game, because she found out, if we didn't touch upon that, she did
If you didn't
find
play
out.
part one, spoiler alert,
Joel saves Ellie from dying, but Ellie didn't
by
want that. Ellie wanted
slaughtering
to save the world.
everyone.
He slaughtered everyone. uh yeah, it
Hold on, before you
showed
say
that she
that,
wanted what.
uh, it was just funny because in that game they show like the events leading up to part two.
Yeah.
That night, the doctor really tried to hurt Joel, who has like 5 guns on him with a scalpel. Like, really, you think you're gonna stop this man? But anyways, go ahead. That just made me laugh seeing that again. Like,
I
come on,
mean,
don't come here, man. Even though you have a fucking assault, because you
don't
have an
step
assault rifle
closer.
at that point, right? Or do you
Not
get
an
that after
assault
the
rifle.
doctor?
You have a hunting rifle.
But still, like, I'm gonna stop you with
You
this
have a
knife.
shotgun.
Anyways,
At
sorry.
that close range, shotgun just.
I was just watching
We
that
see what
again,
it
I was
does to
like,
Joe's knee. So I think the death didn't feel like they were just writing him off. I honestly feel like for the setting, for the world, I thought it was a great scene. How they killed him. He's not a superhero. He's human. Before I get back into that, kind of going back into my the point I was making before you
Sorry,
interrupted me,
I just popped in my head.
rudely interrupted me. It showed, that she was trying to forgive him, and that she wanted to work toward that. And in the beginning of the game, you are with Dina. That's her name, right? Yeah, Dina.
Dina,
You're
what did I
with
say
Dina.
earlier? I didn't. I said some other complete name, but Dina was the
Yeah,
name I
you
meant
did.
to say.
Yeah,
I'll double over
Dina.
that. But Dina,
Dina. Dina asked her, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And Ellie responded, "I'm gonna watch some movies. I'm probably gonna go watch some movies with Joel." And I feel like that was her way of being like, you know what, I'm gonna go talk to Joel, and we're gonna try to start, you know,
working
going
it
on this
out. Yeah.
path of working things out, and hopefully getting to a point of forgiveness. And that was really stolen from her, and that kind of, you know, it adds a lot more to the story. There are people who were upset that wasn't revealed earlier. I think it was kind of revealed at a I won't say the perfect time, but I love the way that they revealed it, because the game was about revenge until it wasn't. Until it was more about guilt. Until it was more about, her final moments with Joel, and kind of how having that stolen from her
Which is
caused
something
her to
that
go on this rampage.
everybody in this planet can relate to.
Yeah.
Losing that person too early, or turning your back on somebody that you lose them. Like that's just something that
Hmm.
everybody can connect with.
Yeah,
And
and
even them just not going.
it's it's something that also, works for this environment. This is an environment where killing for the most part doesn't have any consequences, unless you talk about the fact that people will take revenge on you. But there's no government to tell you, no, don't kill. So it definitely works for this game.
Definitely. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that was great. Great move.
I do have some questions for you specifically.
Okay.
Kind of questions we can both answer, but these are just questions that I thought of while kind of reading reviews, watching videos on people's thoughts on the game. Uh, how did you feel about how the story developed in terms of it made you play half the game as Ellie, and then immediately switches it up and has you play half of the game as Joel's killer, Abby?
Uh, I mean, I get what they were trying to do. Uh, Try to make you sympathize with the killer, which Joel was not a good person. We just love him because he's
Joel was
Joel.
not a good person.
He took this woman's father away, so it's
I mean,
like
it's not just. I
you
mean, he
get it.
also doomed humanity, but
I mean,
assumably, because
exactly.
we
'Cause
assume
we don't know if it would have worked. Because what if they
we
could have
don't.
killed her in vain? A whole bunch of other things could have happened.
Yeah.
But so I mean, just from the jump, I figured Joel killed somebody that she loved.
Yeah.
Like I was like, that's had to have been, whether it was a Firefly or not. That's basically what happened. So I was already kind of like, okay, man, Joel kind of deserved it. But
Yeah. I also, what I will touch upon, the park sequence when you're playing as Abby, as a younger Abby, and she's with her father. This is obviously the day that Joel and Ellie arrive to the hospital. It did paint, kind of into a different light. Having killed the doctor, he was one of the only non-optional kills in The Last of Us part one, where he's just doing what he thought was best for humanity, and you really just like kill him, straight up murder him. So it did help paint Joel in this light of, he's not the hero. He's more of a villain, which I thought was really well done. I don't think anybody in this this just setting is a good person. Honestly, I think unless you're Lev, who was kind of born into it, but is kind of like pure in a sense. Lev was kind of like Ellie in the first game,
yeah,
in a sense. I think unless you're like that, you're not a good person. in this you can't be a good person. You have to find ways to survive, and that sometimes means, you know, doing immoral things. So,
I mean, that first one, I feel like maybe maybe I'm overstepping a little bit, but I feel like 9 out of 10 parents or people in that situation would want to save their child. Um,
yeah.
go. You
I
see
mean,
how
I'm not
Joel
a parent.
made. Yeah, I'm saying you see how Joel made the quote. I guess the easy decision. Not just going in and saving her daughter, whereas
hmm
they didn't really give you that. Which is one thing that I loved about The Last of Us. Most games would have gave you that sappy, oh, it's for the best of the world, blah blah blah, and then they
hmm
ship Ellie off into the great beyond, wherever they go in life. They didn't do that. They obviously went the other route. So just knowing
Yeah.
that off the top of your head, it just makes you, which the whole game is very tense. Not only with the jump
Super tense.
scares, but just with the story in general.
Oh
So it
my
just
god.
keeps you on edge, and especially like I said, taking Joel away so early, it's just
hmm
like, what else can you do to me?
Everything. Yeah. Everything is. There's no hope. Anything could happen at this point. You took away. Someone we looked at as a protagonist, and you just took him away. I thought, and I'll just piggyback off that feeling tense moment. For me, the most tense was when you were back at the farm, or not back at the farm, but when you were at the farm the
Yeah,
first
with the
time,
farmer,
and
yeah.
everything looked perfect, everything was peachy, people were happy. I was just like, oh, something bad is gonna happen. Like I was tense the entire time when I was like, when you have to round up the sheep, I was like, is somebody just gonna like show up and try to kill me? Like that entire time, it was a very peaceful setting. It's the most peaceful part of the game, but I was not. I could not rest. I felt like something was gonna happen. I was tense the entire time. So
Yeah.
another question I have: uh, do you think this is Ellie's game? Like, is this Ellie's story, or who do you think this game is telling the story of more than anything?
I mean, it's definitely still Ellie's story because the events obviously still revolve around Ellie's life more so than it does Abby. So I definitely think it's 100% Ellie's story. They just wanted to give you that splash of Abby to kind of make
To show
what
you
you
the other
may or
side of
may
the
not
story.
have to do more difficult of a choice for the player.
Yeah. So you think it because you could make the argument this is more Joel's game than anybody else. Joel is the central figure of this game. Joel is the reason anybody in this game does anything really. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I would say it's more Joel's game than Ellie's game. Like yes, you play as Ellie, but I feel like she's more like the catalyst. I feel like it's more.
If
It's
anything, Joel's the
definitely Joel.
catalyst.
I mean, it kind of depends on how you look at it. You know,
I mean, he's the catalyst for both sides. He's Ellie's reasoning and he's Abby's reasoning.
yes, yes, but I still think that it's more Joel's game than Ellie's game. I don't know. For me, it felt more like it was Joel's game than Ellie's game.
Okay.
So
Oh, he's also in the game further. There's moments of there's
yeah,
flashbacks and stuff, so he's not completely gone. But
it also paints him in a very like warm light through all those
very
flashbacks that you
fatherly, and sweet.
very caring, very lovingly. And one thing that I see a lot of people kind of like complaining, especially like about his death, is that he like was trusting of strangers when you know Joel's to be this brute, force of a guy that wouldn't really trust people. But kind of 2 points of contention that I have to that is one, in the first game, he does end up like trusting people, strangers, really. You have that moment with God, I'm forgetting their names, but
Racist,
the brothers,
racist.
Sam
The only
and
black characters in the game. You know their names?
I remember Sam. I just can't remember the. Okay, do you remember their names?
This is my favorite game, sir. I've maybe played The Last of Us Part One once, maybe twice.
Sam and something. Just comment down below what the name is. I'm like very upset. I don't remember the name. I should have written all these names down. But he trusts them, and they
Yeah, he
just
does.
met out of the blue. Also, it shows that he has kind of like softened. He was in his old age. He's softened up a little bit. and it could be that he had a bit of remorse about not about what he did, but how it kind of ruined his relationship with Ellie. You know, which I thought could definitely play a role in how he was just kind of like nonchalant or just like not so cautious when he came into that room full of
Yeah.
people that essentially just surrounded him in
Well, also, he
seconds.
was like with Tommy, so he like had backup. He wasn't by himself.
Yeah. What what good did that do him, right? So, did you end up liking Abby in any way, shape, or form?
Abby was brolic as fuck. Abby is what I want to be when
Super
I get
brawly.
older. Um, did I end up liking Abby? I wouldn't say I. It's tough. I feel like they tried to turn Abby into a Joel character, like you said, with Nev kind of being that Ellie.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Lev is probably the most likable character in this
yeah,
game.
definitely. But I wouldn't say I liked Abby. It was, like I said, it got to the point in that game where I was just like, I want this to be over because it just drags. That the end game drags so long. I'm like, come on.
It's not even just the end game, and this is something I wanted to touch upon. It's just the actual gameplay, and I understand it's the literal gameplay for the game, but like the waves or groups of people that you encounter were so frequent. I feel, and I get it. You know, you're going up against large groups of just like kind of like organized um, groups of people, but that felt like it added so much to the actual runtime of the game.
I mean,
Whereas this,
yeah,
but it's the actual gameplay. It's what you
yeah.
actually play. So I understood that. That's the only reason why, like, it felt like it dragged for me. Definitely at the end, I was like, I don't want to have to like deal with these people. Like, you're introducing another group of enemies. Just let me get to the end. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say I ended up liking Abby, but I definitely sympathized with her more and I understood her side. I think that's what's important. You kind of get to that understanding of why she did what she did. Um, I did end up liking some of the supporting characters. Manny, I thought was just hilarious,
Yeah, man. Man, he was cool.
and it kind of brought upon that the moment when you're going up against the sniper, who, spoiler alert, was Tommy. If you didn't figure that out while playing or after they actually showed it was him. When he kills Manny, and it was just so random too. Like you were gearing up to kind of flank this random sniper, and out of nowhere, Manny's like, let's go this other way, and then he's like, you know what? Let's boom. He's just dead. At that moment, I was like, oh, come on, not Manny. You know, when he's the bad guy, in this story, he's the bad guy. But at that moment, I kind of forgot he was the bad guy, and I was just like, no, not Manny. And then obviously you realize, wait, no, this is what we're here for in the first place. This is why we're in Seattle. So I thought the game did a great job in kind of covering up certain things, and its reveals were really good, I would
Yeah,
say.
definitely. So, you got another question? Or you want to move on to the ending?
Uh, do you like how the game, how the story was structured in terms of the 3 days you play as Ellie, then 3 days you play as Abby. You
Yeah, I
think
thought.
the game is over. It's not. It goes into another section.
I mean, like, I thought it was a cool way to do the game. It
Mm-hmm.
does kind of because you know how the story played out on Ellie's side. So similar to what like prequels do to movies, there's not much you can do. There's not a lot of wiggle room you can do
Yeah, you
because we already
know
know how it
who's
played
gonna
out
die.
already.
You
Exactly.
know where you're gonna end up.
Exactly. So other than that, like it was a interesting way to structure the game. I thought it was pretty cool.
Do you think it would have been better if they did like a side by side, day one Ellie, day one Abby,
It would have helped
or?
with the surprises in the game, because it would have been like, oh, you would
Mm-hmm.
have felt it on both sides instead of just be like, well, I know this person's dead already. Like with the Tommy fight, I knew Tommy wasn't gonna die because Tommy is in that, the next day, so obviously he can't
Yeah.
die. So stuff like that. But if they would have did it side by side, it would have eliminated that. But obviously, Naughty Dog made this choice for a reason to do it like that.
I thought the choice was good because you didn't know what was going to. You didn't know you were going to play as Abby.
Yeah, that was like,
You
oh
know,
shit.
so out of nowhere, you're just thrust into this role that a lot of people, myself included, did not want to be in. I did not want to play as Abby.
I
I
did
was
not
just
want
like,
to be
really, you're gonna
Raiden,
make me.
but I had to be Raiden. I get it.
But at the end of the time, at the end of the game, I was just like, you know what, that worked because it didn't give you the same story. You knew certain things that were gonna happen, but it was still a different story. I
Yeah,
felt like
outside of
Abby's
the
story was.
yeah, outside of the island portion, like I was like, okay, but the island portion
Mhm.
was probably my favorite part of Abby. Like
Oh yeah,
running through the whole entire war and everything. That shit was dope.
because that was so much different. It was a different environment. It was, and that whole conflict between the Seraphites and the wolves, I thought was great. I thought that was a really nice touch that they kind of introduced a third party into this conflict that both sides are against, um, which I thought was just I thought it was the right decision, personally. And it made you sad in certain points. Like, okay, for example, as Ellie, you kill the PS Vita girl, and then later on when you're playing as Abby, you meet up with her and you talk to her and you're just like, damn, you're about to die, and you're still playing the Vita. Cool. I don't want to kill you. You seem pretty cool, pretty chill, but you have to die. So, yeah. I don't think I have any more questions. Just really quickly, did you enjoy Ellie's or Abby's story more?
In I guess most parts, well, damn. I guess I enjoyed Ellie's story more just for like the flashbacks and stuff like that because you have that
Mm-hmm.
connection with Joel, so getting to see them further that relationship was nice.
Yeah.
And obviously the suspense of the reveal, like when is Joel gonna tell her? How is she gonna find out? 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
obviously she's
Yeah.
gonna find out. So that's more
Well,
why I
we didn't know
enjoyed Ellie's
that.
side.
I honestly thought when she cornered Nora that
Yeah, Nora was
Nora
gonna
was
tell
going to
her.
be the one to. That's the name you said earlier, by the
Yeah,
way.
I fucked that
I
up.
thought that Nora was going to be the one to reveal things to her, and it was going to cause her to be like, wait, is this the right thing? Like, well, Joel lied to me or whatever. But it was revealed right after that gruesome scene. Ellie already knew.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the main
Which I
reason why I
thought.
enjoyed her side of the story more. I mean, I enjoyed the Abby and Nev moments. I thought they were like, they were
Hmm.
sweet and warm. But
when Lev was like cold, and she's like, it's cool. What? Or when like he curses for the first time. Uh, I thought those were just very like great moments of levity in this situation. Uh,
she was like a
I
discount
also
Ellie, which was nice. Discount Ellie
yeah,
and Joel, yeah.
it
Like
was
the Target brand.
I will say one of my favorite portions is when you're trying to climb the really tall building
Yeah.
as Abby. They did this really small thing where if you were on any kind of like platform that you were able to look down, Abby would start hyperventilating. I can't speak. Hyperventilating. Hyper. Is that how you say it?
Hyperventilating.
Hyperventilating. Thank you.
There you
I
go.
can't English today. Um, I thought that was a really nice touch. It was kind of something that was different, and it showed like kind of like that real innate fear that Abby had, and fleshed it out. I thought that was pretty good. So, just some points that I wanted to point out before we wrap this up. I think there are people that kind of assumed that Naughty Dog was trying to paint Abby as a good person, to make her more likable and things like that, so that you kind of sympathize with her more. I don't think they did that at all. I think they showed that Abby was not a good person, in various ways. Even you even have that point where the pregnant girl, what do you remember her name?
Uh, Mel.
Mel. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course you'd remember. Um, it showed, when Mel kind of confronts her, and Mel was the kind of like the only one of the group that was kind of like almost like normal or sane in the sense that She wasn't going after anybody.
Yeah.
She didn't have that like. She seemed nice, I guess is the way to put it. And for her to kind of turn on Abby like that kind of shows that Abby is not a good person. And another point I have on Abby is that she was like really, really brolic, right? For those outside of New York, she was really strong
Very muscular.
and very muscular. And at first I was like, oh, I guess she like took up weightlifting or something, and she had like a passion for it. Uh, then I realized, and you know, watching different videos and kind of listening to other people talk and whatnot, it's not that she liked weightlifting or anything. She built herself into a person to kill Joel.
Hmm.
And it shows it through the game when she doesn't even want to take a single day off training. And it's because she wants to go kill Joel. She has to be prepared to kill Joel, which I thought was super interesting, and it kind of fleshed out her character a little more. So we're about to wrap this video up. Just very quickly, what you think of the ending?
Okay. I love the PTSD thing, which is something I talked about with you that I thought was gonna happen, where she was just gonna have like hallucinate Joel. But seeing her with the PTSD 100% makes sense after what she's been through.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, seeing somebody you love
exactly. And then
brutally murdered in front of you
her
like that,
dealing with the
crazy.
weight of not getting the revenge that she, desired or that she needed. And then the whole, which I was thinking, had they ended the game in that moment, I would have been fine. I kind of hated that they added that extra,
I don't.
last bit of it. I didn't like that just because, once again, it made you dragged out the ending to a point where, like, I get the whole like her, setting aside the revenge, but then she loses everything at the end of it. Like she has nothing. She's
But
by
that's the
herself
thing.
alone with her guitar.
That's kind of the tragedy of the game. You know,
I
you
understand that
think
it's a
there's
tragedy,
this.
but it's still like there's other ways to get to that point rather than making
I
us go backwards again. You literally we went on this amazing journey and then you're taking us back again. And it's,
I understand that portion. I wouldn't have been okay if it ended with her being happy.
I thought it was gonna end with
In the
like some
farm.
conflict with her and Tommy, like her turning her back on Tommy and then maybe Tommy trying to do something stupid. That's what I thought was gonna happen. I thought it was gonna be a showdown between her and Tommy, which would have held way more weight than what they originally had, because that's literally her only connection to Joel left, and her to have to battle that would have been crazy. Rather than you
I mean,
taking us
you could
down
make the
this
point that the guitar
again.
was the last connection, but
No, I'm saying
uh,
obviously, yeah, but I'm saying though, like in terms of
like
had she had,
actual like
yeah,
human connection. I get you. I think I don't know. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I'm. If we're talking about that ending sequence, yeah, it did feel a little dragged on. It dragged on. I wasn't very like into having to play it. I thought the story aspect of it was pretty cool. I guess when she kills those two guys with the clicker that was hanging
yeah,
upside
that was
down. I
dope.
thought
That
that
was
was
pretty
really
cool. Yeah,
badass. And then obviously you get that ending fight scene between you know
Abby and Ellie.
Abby and Ellie, and it was cinematic to say the least.
Yeah,
And you see her kind of let go of her rage and just let go of her revenge because at the she realized it just wasn't worth it at that point. Like she's not honoring Joel at that point. Joel gave his life pretty much to save her because he must have known. At when they cornered him, he must have known, like, this is because of what I did, and I'm okay with it. Because he was okay with the fact that Ellie kept living. So I think that Ellie kind of just came to a realization, like, this isn't honoring him anymore. This is just me being, blinded by my rage, or by her guilt. So, what did you think of how it actually ended? Like that final scene, her going back to the farm, finding the guitar, trying to play it, and not really being able to play it because she got two fingers bitten
yeah,
off
she had
by
her
Abby.
fingers bitten off. That was
Yeah.
crazy. Abby got some strong ass mouth. Um, I mean, I there's really nowhere else you can go after that. So it's she knew what she was gonna. She knew what she was risking going there. She was risking losing everything, which is what she ended up losing,
Hmm.
including 2 fingers, um, which would hurt me more than anything, because you need 5 fingers on each hand, which is, you know, I mean, now you think
You
about
don't
it,
need them.
not the most two important fingers in the world.
It's not.
You know, you
They're
can do a
not.
lot of things with
But
these
it's
three.
definitely important if you are
Playing
someone who,
guitar, I'd
yeah.
imagine, yeah, because you need to hit notes.
Which was kind of like I said, that final connection she had with Joel. I feel like it was the fact that he taught her how to play the guitar, and that song that keeps coming up every time you find guitars in the game, was the first song he played for her. And her trying to play that song and not being able to, and just realizing what her decisions cost her. It didn't just cost her
She
fingers; it
could just
cost
be
her
a lefty.
that. Mm, I mean, you know how much work that would be.
I'm just saying.
You'd also have to find a lefty guitar, which is not
Just,
easy.
I mean, she's a smart girl. She can make one.
Smart doesn't equate to craftsmanship.
She literally you craft in the game nonstop.
Yeah,
She can make a pipe
crafting a
bomb,
guitar.
or she can make a she can make a guitar.
Yeah,
a
Joel
lefty.
taught her how to do those stuff.
Exactly. Maybe Joe was like, "Hey, one day you might lose 2 fingers, and you're gonna need to lift a guitar. Things happen, all right. You're gonna have to flip this, bam, 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 and then boom. Last of Us Part 3 is her making a lefty guitar. Oh my God! You're welcome, Naughty Dog. That's gonna be Last of Us Part 3.
Okay.
Do you think they're done?
Just to
You think Naughty Dog's done with this series?
I want to say yes, but it's very possible they go back into this universe, whether or not it's to
As
continue
Abby?
her story or to continue JJ's story, whom I still think he's named after both Joel and Jesse.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
it just makes sense to me. But the story, the game has sold so much, and I mean, obviously there are people on both sides of the spectrum. It was an amazing game, it's a masterpiece, or it sucks, Joel died. So whether or not they decide to make another one, I don't see it happening. But at the same time, I never saw them making a
Making
part
this one?
two
Yeah.
after how kind of beautifully the first one ended. So, and I thought this ending was beautiful. I thought like it was tragic and in a beautiful way. Kind of her walking away from everything, whether or not she's walking towards her happiness. Try to reclaim that, or walking away from everything and just
Opening
accepting
herself
the
in
fact.
woods. Oh,
I don't
accepting the
know
fact.
about that, but I don't know. Again, they left the ending kind of up to interpretation, whether or not they
One thing that I'm
will
like,
go.
one thing that I look at when I like play the ending in my head
Mhm.
is with that fight with Abby and Ellie.
Mhm.
Did Abby swallow the fingers? Because where did they go? I didn't see her spit them out.
I'm pretty sure she did spit them out.
I just remember her biting and then going into the water. She like
I mean,
gulped,
she could have
like,
spit it out in the water.
I don't remember me seeing
I
fingers
mean, at the
flying out
same
of her mouth.
time, she was tied up on the pillar, so it could have been that she was really hungry.
That's it. She probably could have ate them. She definitely ate them.
Yeah. I
That
don't
was
know
the
about
main thing.
definitely,
That's the
but-
main thing I had with the game. Was like, did she eat those fingers? I thought it was just
That's your
one
main
finger. I didn't
takeaway.
know it was two because it looked like she's a bit this. So she just lost her pinky.
Nah, it was definitely both. Yeah. So, yeah, that kind of sums it up. So you wanted to leave this to the end. I already gave mine. I think the game is a 9.5 out of 10. The only reason I can't give it that 10 out of 10, and I want to, because I very much enjoyed the story. I very much kind of liked the direction Naughty Dog went with, the risks they took, and kind of the payoff for it. I thought the ending was beautiful. The only reason I give it a 9.5 instead of a 10 is because the gameplay kind of dragged on, the waves of enemy. I understand that's the gameplay, but I was tired of it, especially
Okay,
in
so-
that kind of like third act. It was too much at that point.
Definitely. For me, I'd give it a solid. Give it a solid 8. Just because
That's higher than I thought you were gonna give it, honestly.
Just the dragging of some, just not even just the gameplay, just the plot point. Sometimes I was just like, come on, just let's get through this. And if, like I said, just that the ending part to me just felt like going backwards, which I didn't like.
I
Um,
get you.
that's the main, little things for me that I didn't like. But once,
Okay.
like, in terms of, like, stealth games, I love stealth games. Obviously, I'm a huge Metal Gear fan,
Yeah. Me too.
so I love just the stealth portions of the game. I thought that was really fun. Uh, but will I go back and do a second play? Not anytime soon. I'll probably have to give it some time, then see if I want to go get that platinum. But
Yeah. I mean,
uh, I definitely need a
I
break
I
from
did
it.
so much. I played this game very much with the intention of getting everything.
Mm.
I didn't. I missed a lot. I mean, I missed less than I thought I did. So I'm definitely going to give it a second playthrough on New Game Plus. Try to collect everything I didn't collect. Get that platinum trophy for it. I
It's
think it's a
easy
game
platinum.
that
You could
for
definitely get
me,
in 2 plays.
it's not the most difficult. It's definitely not Last of Us One platinum. That platinum
I think you only
trophy
get
is
like 3
crazy.
trophies by the end of that game when you play it the first time. You gotta play it like 10 times.
You know how many times I've played that game? I do not have the platinum for it, and I don't think I will ever. Uh, yeah, as much as I love that game, the platinum kind of system for that game is terrible. But it's good for Last of Us Part Two.
Definitely.
It's not so easy. You can do it in one playthrough, but it's easy enough that you don't need to spend so much time trying to get everything. So
Gotcha.
yeah, that brings this review kind of to an end.
We'll be doing more stuff
I
like this for more games, especially new
Yeah,
releases and stuff
definitely.
like that.
We do
Um,
have Ghost of Tsushima coming out next month,
which is
which is
I'm
something
excited
that's very
for
exciting.
because yeah, I love Sucker Punch. I love Infamous 1 and 2.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm
it's
excited for that.
you
So
can see that the it's gonna be a good. I mean, PlayStation exclusives for the most part are
I mean,
just,
you know, it is
but
what it is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It
So
can't all be Halo Wars. You know what I mean?
yeah. That being said, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
Yes.
Like, comment down in the comment section down below. We appreciate any and all support
And feedback
and
too. If you think
and
something could be
feedback.
done
Yeah,
better, definitely let us know.
if you think
We're
whatever
ironing out a
whatever the
lot of kinks.
criticism.
We're working through this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, sometime soon, we'll start doing videos kind of more in person instead of in this
Yeah.
format. Over the over Zoom calls. But with what's going on in the world, we can't do that right at this moment. But it's definitely something that is going to come in the future. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and join us for the next one.